Good morning, and welcome to another week, everybody. It is the tail end of July 29th, 2024. Welcome to the Deluxe Premarket Prep session where we go over all the important news, notes, trade ideas, analysis that are key to being successful in markets this week. Sometimes success looks like 2x, 3x, 4x on your account, right? In a day or in a few days or in a week, which is possible with stock options. And then other times, right, it might just look like you surviving the week, you not blowing up your account, right? We're here to make sure that you have help doing exactly that. Laying the correct expectations for the week so that you can act accordingly, execute accordingly, and like I said, continue to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. We've got a super packed week ahead, which I'm going to get into now. But as always, we're here to get 1% better each and every day. So make sure you drop that one in the chat, signifying your intention to do so. If you do something without the intention to do it, you can't replicate it, right? And you have no system, you have no mindset. So you want to do everything with intention, including being here for this session, right? Very, very key. So we're going to go over the week ahead like we do every Monday, right? That's what makes the deluxe session. And then we're going to go over our Monday specific news, right? So let's go ahead and dive in because we got some stuff to cover. We had some puppy business to take care of this morning, but we're still here, 8:55, getting it rocking and rolling. And our top news headed into this week with the week ahead, investors have a very busy week ahead of them, and markets could be in for some volatile action as traders will receive the latest Federal Reserve monetary policy decision and earnings reports from behemoths. Oh, I forgot, I've still got this. I figured it sounded a little loud in here. Had the noise machine on still for her while I was getting ready. Now, markets could be in for some volatile action as traders will receive the latest Federal Reserve monetary policy decision and earnings reports from behemoths like Microsoft, Meta, Apple, and Amazon. It's crazy how you don't even think about a white noise machine when it's on, but then when it's off, it's so much quieter. So we've got not only Powell speaking and the Fed making a monetary policy decision, which normally is like a huge thing in and of itself, but we've also got the majority of the Magnificent Seven reporting, right? Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Amazon. These companies that have more money on hand than other countries have GDP, right? These are huge entities that essentially kind of function like countries, right? In the reach that they have, in the effect that they have, in the way that they shape how the world develops. So we've got, Powell and FOMC minutes and 4 huge earnings this week, which means it could make for a very, very crazy week or a week where we really don't get much movement at all. Right, which is important to factor into our expectations. The market can wait on these big earnings reports, and then we could move from these earnings reports, or we don't move. Right, we could move from this FOMC meeting, or we don't move. So you might say, Adam, okay, if we have all this vast array of possibilities, and how should you process this week going into it? Well, you've got to make sure that you're aware of the probabilities and the setups, both for up, down, and then sideways. Right. What range, if we stay in, right, will we likely continue to go sideways? What area, if we get above, will cause us to have a higher probability to go up from there? What area, if we get beneath and close on a relevant time frame, is important for us to know in terms of if we're likely to head lower from there. You have to go into a week like this where all of the levels for your game plan are clearly defined, where it's like, okay, above this level on this time frame with this close, bullish; beneath this level on this time frame with this close, bearish; in between, neutral, right? More than likely chop, not doing anything. That's how you have to go into a week like this. Not saying, oh, well, Microsoft is doing this, and I saw Meta has these glasses, and Apple dropped, the Vision Pro and all this. It's like all of that is irrelevant, right? You try to take in as many data points as possible will not make it easier for you to understand and correctly place an earnings bet or bet which way the market is going to go. You have to be prepared for both. And then once you get the information, you act, right? But you got to be prepared for both. And there's no use in, because again, this is a game that's about making money in markets, but also about preserving mental capital. You burn your brain out. You turn your frontal lobe into a well done set of scrambled eggs when you sit here and try to piece together all this information and say, okay, I can predict these 4 earnings, and I can also predict how the market's going to move following the earnings, because the results in the movement are 2 completely different things that sometimes are wholly decoupled, right? So it's like all you do is burn your brain power, and then you're sitting there and you're likely burning buying power also. So it's just not worth it, right? The Fed is widely anticipated to hold the federal funds rate steady, but Wall Street is also expecting some kind of strong indication that the central bank will begin easing policy in September. Meanwhile, after Tesla and Alphabet disappointed with their results, the numbers from the rest of the Magnificent Seven will be especially in focus. Other major companies that will be announcing earnings in next week's amid this week's deluge include Intel, kind of like the neglected stepchild of this semiconductor space, McDonald's, ticker MCD, Merck Pharmaceuticals, ticker MRK, and ExxonMobil. In terms of economic data, attention will be on Friday's all-important U.S. non-farm payrolls report for July. To be honest, there's so many other pieces of information this week that are coming out that I doubt, that non-farm payrolls honestly is on anyone's agenda. In terms of earnings news, Monday, July 29th, we've got McDonald's, we've got ON Semiconductor, whose ticker is ON. Tuesday, we've got Microsoft, Procter & Gamble, whose ticker is PG, Merck, Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, Pfizer, Starbucks, and SPGI, right, S&P Global. AMD sitting in a very important level here, right? AMD has fallen significantly. I feel like people have been trying to figure out what its value is relative to, its bigger, more established cousin, NVIDIA. And it's taken a load off because of that, but it's sitting in a very important area of support here. It's a zone meaning that we do have a little bit of room there within that zone to still go down further. So don't be like, oh, I heard, Adam said AMD is here and it's got to bounce. No, it's within a zone where it could still go down further, but it's a very important zone where, it's more than likely going to hold that major support area and get some type of bounce. If it doesn't, it could definitely be earnings that drives it through that area, right? It could be earnings, if it gets bad earnings, that drive it through that support area and it just gets pile driven even lower. But based off of past price action, right, more than likely it holds in this zone. Again, that could be $100 lower than where it is. It could be $10 lower than where it is, right? You don't know what the zone looks like, so you don't know if this is the specific bounce spot or not. But we are in a zone that has been a long-standing, multi-year area of importance that we now find relevant again with the recent price action we've gotten. Wednesday, we've got Meta Platforms, ticker META, MasterCard, ticker MA, Qualcomm, ticker QCOM, Western Digital, ticker WDC, ARM Holdings, another semiconductor company, ticker ARM, Boeing, eBay, Altria, whose ticker is MO. Altria also had an intriguing looking chart with potential monetizable opportunity that I might get into there in the group, the analysis within the trading group, and then Marriott International Hotels, something that have paid for us, over the course of the past few months with some looks at hotels. Thursday, we got Amazon, Apple, Intel, Block, right, whose former name is Square. Their ticker still SQ. DoorDash, ticker Dash. Cigna, ConocoPhillips, Anheuser-Busch, Roblox, and DraftKings. And then Friday, we've got Chevron and ExxonMobil. So Energy Bigs reporting on Friday. Data Volatility Watch, options trading volume is elevated on Cipher Mining, ticker CIFR, and SoundHound AI, ticker SOUN. Sound had a little pop. I think it was a few weeks ago now. So it's cool to keep an eye on what's got some volatility going on, but at the same time, you're not a real trader if all you trade is meme stocks, right? That's not real. That's hope. That's gambling. We don't rely on either one of those to make sure that our longevity, right, our long-term lifestyle is maintained and tended to. Even if you do get $50,000 off of GameStop, that is not enough to retire off of. That is not enough to live off of for the rest of your life, right? It's not. At the end of the day, it's transitory. You'll take that. You'll pay some bills. You'll probably spend some on something you have no business spending it on. And 6 months, right? Probably even less. The average American, probably 3 months. You see no evidence of that transitory increase in income, right? It's you being able to over and over and over and over again effectively put your money to work for you in markets in a way that it brings you back more money, right? That's what you're aiming for. It's not just to get lucky once. People say, oh, I just need to hit one. No, you don't. You know how many people just hit one? Athletes, right? Musical artists. And where are they now? Nowhere, right? Right back where they started. It takes more than hitting one. It's not hard to make money. That's what if you like learn from any wealthy person, they tell you it's not hard to make money. It's hard to keep money, right? Keeping money is the most difficult thing. People think once I get it, I've made it. No, it just brings a whole new host of problems. And again, puts you in a position that you have not been in previously, right? So you have no experience, no mindset, no knowledge base by which you can operate. And a lot of people don't make the right decisions. They don't have the correct perspective, right? Part of it is you growing as a vessel as more blessings are poured into you. I'm not someone who I say, oh, okay, well, I got this contract to work with this person, so I'm going to go out and get this house or this car or do this or do that, right? No, like I have kids that are unborn, but I'm preparing for, right? To tell you the truth, you can't really feel like all that fine and comfortable unless you got 5 million liquid nowadays, right? So that's another thing. Until I hit that mark, I'm not pulling up, taking a breath, anything like that, right? This world is changing too fast and there's too much going on for me to go out and say, oh, you know what I really need to get? I need to get this Maybach so I can everybody knows I got it, right? We've got to break that generational curse of poverty mindset and programming that has our people struggling no matter what steps we take. Isn't that just such a negative and slippery slope? Imagine that no matter how far you progressed in terms of socioeconomic status, you kept regressing to the mean because of decades of programming that you still have not broken free from. That's where a lot of people are nowadays, right? It doesn't matter. You could go, you're like, a lot of people are still pretty much in the same spot in terms of freedom and, stress and all of that, now making $250,000 than they were making $50,000. Like nothing has changed, right? You might be in a slightly bigger house, but it's still something that you're not being able to afford. You might have a different car, but it's still a car note that causes you a ton of stress, right? You have something happen that you weren't prepared for, and it doesn't matter now that you make 5 times what you used to make, right? Because of everything else and all the other decisions, you still feel like you're underwater, right? So making more money is never the answer, right? It's always the mindset, and it always comes back to mindset. So that was a little, offshoot and tangent, but very important to go over this stuff because everyone thinks, oh man, if I just hit this one trade big, if I just hit this one, if I just do that, it really will not change, right? It won't change until you change what's up here. Because there are people that bring home, right, not just gross, people that net over $1 million and they still in their head are poor and as a result live their life outside of what they have as poor, right? Imagine making over $1 million and you can't take a week off, or you can't go anywhere, or you can't afford if your car something happens to your car, right? That's not freedom at all. That's nothing to be proud of. You want to have freedom along with money and using it for the things that matter, right? Because luckily it's a super empowering thought. Nobody's thinking about us. And that's amazing because you can do everything you want, right? You can do everything you want according to your own terms. You don't have to prove anything to anybody because whether they see you in a Toyota Camry or in a Maybach, right, they're not really going to be thinking about it for much longer than probably 5 minutes, right? And that's maximum. That's generous, especially nowadays in the age of TikTok. So in terms of things that happened, in case you missed it, Howard Schultz against potential Starbucks settlement with activist Elliott. The correction happening in stocks is far from over, IBKR says. U.S. Treasury runs monetary policy just as much, if not more, than the Fed. Study suggests 3M soars in stock's best day ever as upbeat outlook points to a fresh start. When was 3M mentioned recently? During the Kaizen event? Nice. A lot of these stocks that are rocketing, when were they mentioned most recently? During the Kaizen event? Oh, nice. The rooms that you're in matters. You executing on what you learn in the rooms that you're in also matters, right? You having the system and the mindset to leverage the information that you get to do something with it matters. Can't just say, oh, I was here and I knew, and so-and-so told me that this was going to do crazy, so I was there. Were you able to execute on that move or not? Right? If you aren't in a position where you can execute on that move, make sure that you get in position, because now is the time. Right? Now is the time to draw the you that was destined to walk this earth, right, out and leave the one that has already spent its time here and should be dead and gone. Let them go. Right? Time to evolve, iterate, change. Oppenheimer outlined a top buy and sell idea for each S&P sector. Trump lays out plan to turn U.S. into a crypto capital and Bitcoin superpower. Oh, how the tunes change, right, as times go on. But that's outlining what we got going on here this week. I'm going to check out the Market Watch calendar as well, economic calendar. You guys know that's part of our drill every Monday. So Monday, July 29th, nothing scheduled. Nice. Consumer confidence on Tuesday. So immediately we have information coming out on Tuesday that can impact how markets move. That's at 10 a.m., right? So tomorrow, 10 a.m., we can get chopped, going into it, and then we get that information. And it's kind of like what I talked about last week, is that, sometimes that info that you get a pop, and then you ultimately get a move in the opposite direction. So we'll watch, right? Consumer confidence. We could probably get we'll probably get again chop, and then once that data comes out at 10, some type of movement in the ultimate direction. But to be honest, a lot of it can do with these earnings too. We can chop until we get these big earnings reported. What else do we have going on here? Sure, I'll allow that. Wednesday, FOMC interest rate decision at 2 p.m. We got Powell at 2:30. That is, probably the biggest thing of the week. Will we likely be surprised by what the Fed does? No, it's all going to hinge on what Powell is going to say, right? So I'd probably say that Powell's testimony this week is going to be the thing that moves markets the most. We'll see kind of what Apple says and all the rest of them. But if I had to put money on it, I'd say that, Wednesday, from 2:30 until close, right? Or that hour while Powell talks is probably going to be the most important and pivotal point of the week that markets hinge on, because he's been changing his tune lately to be a lot more dovish, right, and bullish for markets. And that's my expectation that continues here based off of the data that we've gotten most recently since he last spoke. Thursday, August 1st, also it's election season, right? Thursday, August 1st, manufacturing PMI at 945, ISM manufacturing at 10. So those are two little blip data points that, again, can cause some volatility at 945 to 10 a.m. If you see like random, kind of larger than normal size 1 minute candles, that's probably that data, right? That's important just for you to know, so that you're not sitting there like, okay, that looks weird. What happened? I don't know. I'm just going to hope it doesn't mess up my trade next time. No, it's like a lot of times I try to make sure every word that I put out is purposeful. So don't just listen for what you think is important, right? Factor in all of them, because the worst case scenario ever when you're in a trade or navigating markets is something happens and you have no clue why, like no true clue, and you just write it off, because those unknowns aggregate and they create big gaping holes in not only your expectation for markets, but also your system. You don't know if your system works if you really don't know the environment within which that system is working, right? Then Friday, U.S. unemployment report, and we get those, those data points, non-farm payrolls or whatever. But yeah, that's the economic calendar for this week. Of course, biggest day is going to be Wednesday, right? Biggest day is Wednesday with Powell that afternoon. Now let's get into our Monday specific news here. Top news, crypto first, and a big boost to the crypto community. Former President Donald Trump made an appearance at the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville over the weekend. Note that it is election season when contenders shore up needed support from swaths of the population, but Trump also described his newfound love from a strategic and geopolitical standpoint. Quote, if we don't embrace it, crypto and Bitcoin technology, China and others are going to be doing it. My vision is for an America that dominates the future. Yeah, very convenient, how all this is just timed and all that good stuff, right? You had the halving happen. You had all this. So pretty much everyone that backs Bitcoin is going to look like a genius at this point. And that's, where we're at with it now. And Kamala's trying to do the same thing. She's like going out and learning about crypto, and they recognize that that's something that, they need support. They need support of the people that are involved in crypto, and they also want to look like and be able to put that on their resume that I was the president, right, that adopted crypto, that pushed crypto, and that was before it took off when this exponential run that inevitably happens after each one of the halvings. So it's not a bad strategy. I do the exact same thing, and both of them are doing it. He also said that they keep the crypto pretty much that the U.S. government is seized, which is what I feel like they were already going to do anyways. But he's saying like formally they would turn it into some type of fund because the U.S. government has seized a crap ton of crypto, and I don't know why they haven't already taken it to do things with it, because like we already knew that was going to happen. So he's saying, I guess formally, that he's going to do something with it. Backdrop, Trump hasn't always been that friendly to Bitcoin and was far from being an advocate. During his time in office, he said cryptos were a disaster waiting to happen. Oh, I got you, baby. I'll let you out soon. I know. She wants to come out, hang with dad. Things started to change after the launch of his NFT collections, and Trump became the first major party presidential candidate to start accepting crypto campaign contributions in May. There was also an opening to distinguish his platform from the current administration, which has been largely seen as taking an unfriendly stance toward the cryptocurrency industry. So he said that he fired, Gary Gensler, SEC chairman, all that good stuff. I'm going to go, can continue to push through this so I can probably take her out again. Economic news, Treasury versus Fed, by modifying the maturity profile of its debt issuance. In terms of like what I think that means, for Bitcoin and all that good stuff, we'll have to see and check out the charts. I haven't looked at those crypto tickers yet since the weekend to be able to say what the effects are, but I'll do that here going into my analysis that I post in the trading group. Economic news, Treasury versus Fed, by modifying the maturity profile of its debt issuance. The Treasury Department is steering financial conditions and by extension, the broader economy that can encroach on the fundamental roles held by the Federal Reserve, according to a new study by Hudson Bay Capital. None of this is really important to me. And markets or anything to do with it. Aviation news, next CEO, former Rockwell Collins chief Kelly Ortberg, is reportedly being considered for the CEO role at Boeing, ticker BA, to succeed Dave Calhoun. The latter will step down by the end of the year amid operational challenges and safety concerns. Ortberg, an aerospace veteran, served as an advisor to RTX's CEO and Rockwell Collins, and led Rockwell Collins and its successor entities for about 8 years as it went through mergers and restructuring. So I don't know if I'd want to take on the CEO role at Boeing. I mean, it's something where if you do it right, it definitely stands to make you a lot of money, but there's a lot of crap that you inherit. Global news, over in Caracas, Venezuela is set for more political turmoil as both the ruling party and the opposition claimed victory in the latest presidential election. Yeah, that's awkward to say the least. You got both sides claiming victory. It comes amid a crippling economic crisis and sanctions that have led to millions of people leaving the country in recent years. We have serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said in a statement. It's critical that election officials immediately share information with the opposition and electoral observers without delay, and that the electoral authorities publish detailed tabulation of votes. In terms of today's markets, as of when this newsletter went out, right, in Asia, Japan were up 2.1%, Hong Kong up 1.3%, China flat, India flat. London, the footy up 0.7, Paris, we're down 0.4, Frankfurt up 0.3, the Dow up 0.4, S&P up 0.4, NASDAQ up 0.6, crude oil down 0.5%, gold up 0.4, Bitcoin up 2.9% to $69,608. What else is happening? Paris Olympics expected to provide sports books with a major boost. Janet Yellen, right? $3 trillion needed yearly for shift to low carbon global economy. Deadpool and Wolverine sets box office record for R-rated debut. I want to go see it. Bailey was too tired on Saturday. And then Sunday, we just had a busy day. I woke up super sore. We pickled it out, and then we had her stepdad's birthday. So, grilled out, had some crabs, all that. But I need to see it. Deadpool is my favorite Marvel movie, the first one. And then, the second one was great, and I'm excited for the third one too. Forgery check. Boeing, ticker BA, asks suppliers for titanium paper trail. 6 banks agree to settle European bond price rigging charges. Mid-East escalates. Hezbollah rockets hit soccer fields in Golan Heights. And then U.S. starts first military command in Tokyo to oppose China. Mitsubishi to join Honda Nissan EV Alliance, and then Bill Ackman's Pershing Square closed end fund faces IPO delay. So that'll wrap us up this morning as we kick off this week. The last days of July are here. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Oops, I didn't put up my thumb. Happy Monday. 7 months, right? We were 7 months into 2024. Each month, right, we've been consistently getting 1% better daily. We are now in the descending portion of the year. You still have plenty of time to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be, but you need to execute now, whatever that looks like, right? If you're like, you need to get in the gym, you need to go out, you need to start running, you need to start meditating, respecting yourself, respecting the God that lives inside of you, right? If you need to start putting your money to work for you in markets, if you need to start learning about artificial intelligence, all of that, you still have time left to do it, but do not continue to waste it, because it is dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. 2024 feels like the fastest year that has ever passed by yet. And I don't feel bad about it. Why? Because I know each and every day, what am I doing? Getting 1% better. So I have no reason to feel bad. It's flying by. Cool. That means I'm getting better faster than I even anticipated, right? That's where you want to be at, where you can look back and say, wow, I'm glad that time flew, because I knew each and every day I was focusing on the right things, right? Honing my crafts, making sure that I remain valuable, regardless of what changes in this world, right? Because we're in a very quickly changing one. I know I'm gonna vindicate you from your playpen jail now. All right, guys, let's crush it. Have an amazing week. Last week was a great week. We got a lot of stuff going on this week. We can get a lot of chop and indecision until we get, these companies reporting. So I'll be back tomorrow morning, right? Yeah, exactly. Look at people who win the lottery. I'll be back tomorrow morning, though, for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one, everybody.